We're live. All right, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's get into it. There we go. We in. Mic check. Facebook. What's up? Yeah. Mic check. All right, cool. We here. Facebook. Let's do it. What's going on, everybody? Happy Tuesday to you. Hope everyone had a great Memorial weekend. I myself enjoyed a trip to Naples, which was unbelievable. Fantastic. Learned a lot, picked up a lot. Just a great time. Much needed, to be honest with you. So fantastic. Learned a lot, picked up a lot. Just a great time. All right, let's get right into it. Let's get right into what we do over here in the Move Swiftly atmosphere in the world. You regular consumers, you already know what I'm about. You already know how we gets down right into it, the consistency and how we roll. If you are new to this channel, if you're new to me, let me just introduce myself really quick. My name, Aswan Crookshank. I am your one and only Move Swiftly speaker, former Division I college football player, and current 5-time, soon to be 6-time published author and educator. I've created a whole business, a whole brand that's all about taking the innovative teamwork lessons that you learn on the football field and aligning them with businesses and business owners so they have a group of employees, they have a staff that moves as efficiently as a championship high school or youth football team. That's what we do around here, and you are coming in on an incredible day, because what we do here is all about creating systems. I learned that very fairly recently, say a couple of years ago, when I personally invested in a coach and I invested in somebody to coach me up and see the things and look at the things that I'm missing in my business. Is, hey, you got to operate on a system. You got to have certain systems in place. So whenever you, like this weekend, and you're going on vacation, you're going out, you're doing whatever it is you got to do, you still want to maintain the standard that you set for yourself because the systems are in place. So one of those systems is Top 5 Tuesday. We have Make Your Move Monday kickoff question. We got the Top 5 Tuesday, which we're going to get into today. Then we have Wintrepreneur Wednesday, which is going to be what the next book I write is going to be about, being what a Wintrepreneur is all about. And then Thursday, we're going to recap everything. Friday, it's Faith-Based Friday. Saturday, Film Session Saturday. We're breaking down film on the college football landscape. And then it's Stay Hired Sunday. So we're on this thing 7 days a week, 365 days out of the year. We do not stop. We do not stop. We do not stop. Do not stop, baby. We keep going and going. That's the power of operating on a system and being able to produce content in such a quality content at that. All right. And anybody can produce some bullshit, but we're talking about producing quality content every single day because the systems are in place to get things going. All right. To keep them in place. So today we are diving into I am now in a place where I am going to be talking about, I'm going to be addressing this whole Black fatigue conversation that has absolutely taken over the internet. All right. It's taken over the internet, and it's this idea. It's just what it is. It's fatigue. All right. You put the word Black in front of it and you make it a thing, but it's just that anybody, no matter the ethnicity, no matter the race, no matter the creed, no matter where you, no matter the gender, no matter what age, you're going to have fatigue. People get fatigued. People get tired of bullshit. Right? That's all it is. They get tired of bullshit or tired of whatever it is that you're tired from. You put the word Black in front of it because there's certain things that some Black people are doing that are leading it to make it difficult for all of us to make it because of the excuses and because of I didn't get where I want to be because of racism, and this person was racist, so I'm not going to get that job, but this person was racist, so I'm not going to do this, and this is not going to happen for me. All that stuff we're about to dive into today. All right, I addressed it yesterday as a kind of a living proof example because I was holding myself accountable for my monthly goals, how I did with my monthly goals. Today, we're going to dive into the top 5 reasons why it's even a thing. And the second part is not going anywhere. So get used to it because it's not about Black fatigue at all. It's just about fatigue in general when it comes to people and their lazy bullshit. And you don't have to be Black to be a lazy mofo. Right? There's a lot of white lazy mofos out there. There's a lot of Asian, there's a lot of Latino, there's a lot of people in general, regardless of your ethnicity, that are just lazy excuse making mofos. All right, that's what they are. You put the word black in front of it and all of a sudden it becomes a thing. But anyway, I digress. Let me get through some announcements and then we'll dive into the top 5 reasons. And also too, what I did, because I do this with Kimberly Blue on Stay Hired Sunday, is the article that I'm going to be going over. I put it into ChatGPT for you business owners now. Put it into ChatGPT and I asked the question for business owners who are struggling with turnover. What are the questions a business owner would have who is struggling with turnover? And then I'm going to be answering those questions about when I get to the time of myself. So when I get to about the 35 to 40 minute mark, I'm just going to go right into answering those questions. We'll address it and then I'll cut it at 45 minutes. Because if you know, there's been times, man, I can get, especially a topic like this, I can start talking and I can go for a couple hours, but I've learned to time myself and things like that. So before we get started, let me just get through a few announcements real quick, and then we'll get right into the topic today. So first and foremost, like I mentioned, what I do here is for you business owners that are struggling with keeping a staff together, struggling with creating a motivated staff. All right. I created a very easy to understand 10-step process for you to simply go through and get something out of your meetings. Now, get more out of your meetings now. Just go to freeguide.makeyourmove.com. We're going to be teaching a basic, really simple math here. Establishing measurables plus a professional distance creates the productive environment. Simply get that. It's 1,000% free. And it'll be definitely useful for you in your business. Next thing, if you feel like you're ready to have me come out and just host a workshop for you and, do the whole thing, just simply go to makeyourmove.com. That's makeyourmove.com. You'll see where you can book a meeting with me. I'll give you all your options about how to get it paid for and how to, move forward in regards to getting a workshop done. If you're literally tired of constantly replacing employees and replacing people and, finding new people and all that, having to bring in new people and all that kind of stuff. If you're sick and tired of that, again, I'm the guy that you need to be getting in touch with. Be sure you like, comment, share, subscribe to this channel, because like I mentioned, we're here every single day. No days off. There's also going to be interviews every 2 weeks now. Getting back to interviews, there's been well over 100 interviews with people who are at the top of their game on this channel. You can go back and look at those as well. All encompassing anything you need, employee development. You have come to the right place. All right. All that being said, let's get right into today's topic. Top 5 reasons for Black fatigue and why it is not going anywhere. Why it is not going anywhere. All right. So first and foremost, let's get into, let me put a couple of captions up here. Let me start. So for you podcast listeners, I am reading directly from the article now, which you can go follow. You can go read it for yourself on medium.com. If you are one of my followers on Medium, be sure you get in touch with me as well, because there is going to be some deals and some opportunities for you when it comes to the books I write. There'll be free books involved. Obviously, you'll have to still cover the shipping and stuff like that, but I'm going to create some deals, some pretty cool, awesome deals for the people who are following me on Medium, because that's usually where all my between Medium and YouTube and LinkedIn are pretty much my biggest platforms where I focus the most on, because that's obviously where my ideal client is, the business owner that I'm looking to work with. That's where they are. So if you do want to move forward, if you are just someone like an observer and you like what I do and all that kind of stuff, it's Medium, LinkedIn, and YouTube is the best places to find me. So, all right, let's get right into today's article, reading directly from the article now, and we'll go until, like I said, 35, and then I'll get to the questions that I put into ChatGPT that is primarily for you business owners who do struggle with turnover. All right, so top 5 reasons for Black fatigue and why it's not going anywhere. As Warren Cruikshank, founder of Move Swiftly, host of the Move Swiftly podcast. All right, here we go again. It's Top 5 Tuesday, something we've been doing here in the sports marketing world of Move Swiftly for over a year now. Every week, we break down a list built around a current event or an evergreen concept. But every now and then, we hit both. This week's topic, Black fatigue, why it's relevant, why it's not going away, and why we all need to understand what it's really doing to us, especially the next generation. And let's get this out of the way now. No, Black fatigue will not disappear. I'm going to say it again for the people in the back. Hear me very closely. All right. This is not something that you're going to solve. This is not a situation. I'm not speaking to you. I'm not hoping and dreaming and putting some scenario out there where the situation is just going to go away. Black fatigue will not disappear. The concept and the problems and the issues that have been discussed, that have been being discussed when you're talking about Black fatigue, they're not going anywhere. It's not going to happen. Here's why. Going back to the article directly, guys. All right. It's too profitable. Too profitable. Too many people making money off this Black fatigue concepts. Too many people. There's too many race hustlers out there. Too many folks who making money, man, who are getting paid off this concept, getting paid off this idea of Black fatigue, getting paid off the laziness, getting paid off people making excuses, getting paid off gaslighting, getting paid to be ignorant, getting paid to show our people in a negative light, getting paid, all right, to make other Black folks, to make it harder for other Black folks who want to do things the right way. Too many folks who are getting paid to do it that way, to cater to Black folks' laziness and to cater to a stereotype and to perpetuate stereotypes. Too many folks getting paid to do that bullshit for me to sit up here and tell you that Black fatigue will disappear. It's too profitable for some people. Too profitable. All right, so accept that. Just accept that and ask yourself, which side do you want to be on? Do you want to make your money the right way because of your hard work and because of the things that you actually are competent to do, or do you want to make your money off, being lazy and fatigue and promoting degeneracy and promoting, bad habits, promoting laziness, promoting things that are not going to be conducive to development, promoting sex and drugs and alcohol and all. What exactly you want to do? It's two-sided here. All right, that's what we're talking about. So it's too profitable, too embedded, and far too comfortable for people who benefit from short-term emotional highs instead of long-term growth. Do I need to say that one again? Do I need to say it again for the folks in the back, in case you did not hear me correctly? All right, let me read that paragraph real quick one more time so you guys catch it and you guys understand it. And now we are locked in. We're locked in, okay? And let's get this out the way now. No, Black fatigue will not disappear. It's too profitable, too embedded, and far too comfortable for people who benefit from short-term emotional highs instead of long-term growth. Before we jump into the list, let's make sure we're on the same page with what we're talking about. What is Black fatigue? Black fatigue is the emotional and mental weariness that comes from the repetition of pain, excuses, and exploitation of racial identity. It's not just exhaustion from real challenges. It's exhaustion weaponized through excuse making, lazy narratives, and refusal to grow. Let's get into the 5 reasons why this concept exists and why it's hurting us more than it's helping us. Number 1, the invention of an excuse. Put this up real quick, and we're going to dive into reason number 1. The invention of an excuse. Okay, let me just, before I even get into reading it directly, let me just ask you guys, I'll put a question out there so you understand. Do you have to be Black to make an excuse? No. Sorry, I'll answer quickly. Do you have to be a male to make an excuse? No. Do you have to be a female to make an excuse? Doesn't matter what the age is, doesn't matter how old you are, what color you are, where you come from. An excuse is going to be made in some way, shape, form, or fashion. I've made excuses. You've made excuses. Excuses are going to be made regardless of where you are, where you come from, who you are, and what you're about. You're going to make excuses as to why things didn't get done. Let's get into your article, all right? The invention of an excuse. When you're talking about Black fatigue, when you're talking about people who are constantly using racism when there isn't any racism at all, that now creates an excuse. You now have an excuse for why certain things are not getting done or why you're not pursuing certain goals, all right? So with Black fatigue, what has happened is something that you are already originally going to do, regardless of your color, something that was around, that's been around since the beginning of time, which is an excuse. All that happens is it just continues to be exclamated. It just continues to be added on. It just continues to create a reason to make an excuse. And excuses are not going anywhere, folks. They're not. All right. So I'm going back to the article now, podcast listeners. So I've seen it everywhere, on the field, in the gym, and in the classroom. As a football player, I had teammates who never made it through a season, always had an excuse why they missed practice, skipped lifts, forgot assignments. It was never their fault. As a fitness trainer, I've heard it all. Folks don't want to touch a treadmill, but will drop hundreds of dollars on fake hair, nails, and name brands before investing in a gym membership. I'm going to say it again. We're going to hurt somebody. We're going to hurt somebody this morning. We're going to hurt somebody. We're going to hurt somebody this morning. Okay. As a fitness trainer, I've heard it all. Folks won't touch a treadmill. They won't even do a damn sit-up, a push-up. All right. But they will drop hundreds of dollars on fake hair, nails, and name brands before investing in a gym membership. Okay. But they're going to make an excuse. They're going to make excuses as to why they can't afford a gym membership. They're going to make excuses as to why they can't afford a trainer. They're going to make excuses as to why they can't make it to a park or maybe can't make their steps. But they're going to find the money to get their hair done. That will happen. They're going to find the money to put fake nails in. They're going to find the money to do all the things that look good on the exterior, but they won't find the money to keep their bodies right. That's something I saw for years as a trainer. All right. As an educator. All right, we're moving on directly from the article, podcast listeners. As an educator, students come with built-in excuses for missing assignments, tanking test scores, and flat out just not showing up. Another thing I see every day as an educator, folks who are students at this point who make an excuse as to why certain things are not getting done. An excuse. All right, excuses are a natural response to discomfort. But Black fatigue is what happens when society gets tired of hearing excuses wrapped in the word racism. Every time someone falls short, at some point it gets ridiculous. That's what happens. So let me just talk to you guys directly now. What's already built in a person is the need or the concept of making an excuse. All right. So when you add in this concept and this idea of racism and stereotypes, all you're doing is now perpetuating and allowing these excuses to be okay. And I just ran through a list of a lot of different ages, whether I had a teammate that may have been 13 through about 22, right? I played football from when I was elementary school all the way to college. So saw a wide range of kids who they're making excuses. All right. As a trainer, you see people come in from all ages. They want to work out. They say they want to work out. They say they want to do this. They say they're going to pay for a membership and all that, but they never show up and they never actually pay. But they could find the time. They could find the money to get their hair done every 2 weeks and all that kind of put nails in there, put fake nails on, all that kind of stuff. They're going to find the time and money for that, right? Again, as an educator, you see students all the time. They come in and, I'm going to do this, but clearly making an excuse as to why certain things aren't getting done. So that's reason number one. It's the invention of an excuse. So number two now is almost like it's the same concept, because once you make enough excuses, and it's okay to make these excuses, you've been taught that it's okay to make these excuses. You know what happens next? It caters to your laziness. All right. It caters to laziness. And again, I said that I put it in an article for a reason, because I am not talking at you in these situations. I'm talking to you directly. All right. Every last one of us is lazy when it comes to certain things. We all have our flaws. We all have a situation where there's something we just don't feel like doing. There's a certain strengths, there's certain weaknesses every individual has, where we're all lazy about doing something. Me, myself, I'm going to read directly from the article here now. Let's be real. I'm lazy in some areas too. All right. I don't like editing videos. Don't like making thumbnails or spending time posting on social media. These are things I personally hate doing. But I'll ask you guys, do you not see it getting done every day? Do you not see it happening every single day? Regardless of the views, regardless of how many people are liking it and all that, it's getting done every day. even though I hate doing it. All right. Even though I cannot stand doing it. I don't like social media. Sometimes I don't even like the damn internet, to be 100% honest with you. All right. But it's a necessary thing that needs to be done if I'm serious about getting to the places I'm trying to get to, because I know certain areas in which I'm going to be lazy about doing this and doing that. So what have we done? Going back directly to the article, folks. Why does it get done? Is because I built systems, use tools like ChatGPT, and taken ownership of my time. Black fatigue gives people permission to be lazy under the guise of injustice. I remember a teammate I had in college saying he wasn't going to major in Africana studies because racist people wouldn't hire him. That wasn't something anyone told him. It was a lie he invented to stay comfortable. Let me break down that story a little more, because this was back when this is my Stony Brook days, right? And the particular teammate I had, he was one of the teammates I was referring to when it comes to people who don't show up for workouts, who don't, really aren't engaged. They don't show up in the weight room. They don't run full speed, yet they want to be on full scholarship. This is what was crazy about this particular teammate, is you didn't show up for this. You didn't show up for a ton of different things. And when it got to the end, I played for Stony Brook for 2 seasons, my junior and my senior year, and he didn't come back my senior year, right? But the crazy part about his story is, by the time we got to the end of that first season I was there, he looked at me, he goes, "Yeah, man, I don't know if I can come back because Coach P talked about he ain't gonna put me on scholarship." Boy, you ain't sure. It was crazy to me. Like the fact that he even had the audacity to bring that to another teammate who was, walk on as well. I'm like, come on, man. Come on, dog. Let's keep it all the way factual. It's funny because I'm thinking about it now. I'm thinking about how he played it. I was like, no, man, no. All right, hell no. You're not getting on scholarship, okay? But anyway, so, obviously there was a point, you're having conversations with guys on the team when you're playing college football. You have to start thinking about what you're going to be doing for life after football, because the majority of us are not playing in the NFL. Even the ones that I played at Stony Brook University, an FCS program, smaller school, where even the guys who were good enough to play in the NFL, even then, those guys were only, the expectation for them was maybe a season and a half or a couple seasons. I mean, the one guy that I think played, he signed with Seattle, and then he ended up getting cut in the middle of the season, and he was a damn good player. Right? So when you play at that level, at the FCS level, not the high end Big Ten or SEC or anything like that, you got to start really having conversations about, hey man, what's next? Again, you're getting smarter. You're becoming more realistic. What an NFL player actually looks like, and you're not it. All right, 99% of you guys listening to me, you're not it. All right, 99% of you guys playing college football right now, you're not going to the NFL. You're not gonna be good enough. All right. So anyway, I was having a conversation with him about what we're going to do next, what our majors are going to be, we'll be studying in school and stuff like that. And, I took an Africana studies class as well. I ended up doing a lot of different courses, and myself personally, I'm always interested in that kind of stuff. I was very, very interested in learning about the African Americans that made a difference in our country and all that kind of stuff when I got to school. In fact, my favorite professor, Professor Jorge Ferran, somebody I've spoken about in great detail, was a huge influence on me when it comes to me being a professor and the way he taught it, the realness and the rawness of his class and all that, right? So having a conversation with this particular teammate, and he's telling me, yeah, man, I thought about just majoring in Africana studies, but when it comes to me getting a job and all that, there's gonna be a bunch of racist people out there, and they won't hire me because I majored in Africana studies. Like, what? No one said that. No one came and told him and said, hey, because you're an Africana studies major, we're not going to hire you because we're racist. No one said that. Nobody said that. He created that mentality in his mind, and it catered to the laziness that's already first. It started with the excuse, right? There was an excuse, and then there's this lazy mentality of not actually doing your research and saying, hey, who majors in Africana studies? Let me go talk to my Africana studies professor, or talk to some of the people in the organization and ask them a little bit what it takes, what I need to know, what are some of the do's and don'ts. Maybe I could use this as a minor. Maybe I could just take some classes. Maybe I could do this. Maybe I could learn this. Maybe I could do something. But don't just automatically assume that you're not going to get hired because the world is racist and you just are not going to learn the things that are important to learn. You're in fucking college. That's what you're here to do. All right, you're here to get yourself some knowledge. You're here to be around beautiful, great minds and give yourself an opportunity. You don't just come on and just say, oh, well, because I majored this, somebody's not going to hire me because the world is racist. That is ridiculous. And unfortunately, there's a lot of folks out there who think like that. I'm putting him as an example only because there's a lot of folks who think like that, and they've stayed in this place their entire life. And that brings me to number 3 right there. Let's keep it right there, because that takes me right to number 3. It keeps you in a comfort zone. And I've said it and I'll repeat, I'll say it as often as I can. The comfort zone is the death to your business. The comfort zone is the death to your family. The comfort zone is the death to anything that you love and care about the most. The comfort zone will kill it. The minute you start getting too comfortable and you lose that grind, you lose that dog, you lose that eye of the tiger that you had before you got to wherever you got, eventually somebody is coming in to take your spot. If you stay in a comfort zone, I don't give a shit what you do. I don't care how much money you got, how many mansions you got. Your mentality has got to be constantly proactive. That comfort zone, if you ever feel yourself getting comfortable in anything you do, it's a problem. Don't let that shit happen. Do not let the comfort zone creep into your subconscious, because you will lose. You will lose over time. And it won't be one of these losses like a big blowout loss. It's going to be a loss every day, a small loss every single day. It'll come in the form of, okay, I'm just not going to do this. I'm not going to read that book. I'm not going to read that. I'm not going to do the one thing I said I was going to do that day. And when you compound that over the period of multiple weeks and multiple months, eventually you're so much in a comfort zone. You're looking around. You're like, what the fuck? What happened? What happened to all my goals? What happened to what it is I wanted to do? What happened? All right, let me get back to the article, because I'm getting fired up. All right, so number 3, because we're talking about Black fatigue. And as you can see, by the way, very little of what I'm talking about has anything to do with being Black. Very little. It's all mindset. It's all mentality. You put the word Black in front of it. You put the word Black fatigue in front of it. All of a sudden, it becomes a conversation. But very few of it doesn't have much to do with being Black at all. It has everything to do with simply just being fatigued. All right, so number 3. It keeps you in a comfort zone. Reading directly from the article, podcast listeners. Keeps you in a comfort zone. The phrase Black community gets tossed around constantly, but let's define things clearly. Black is a skin color. Community is a group of people living in the same place or sharing values. They are not the same. Using the term Black community too loosely creates tribalism around behavior, not progress, around behavior, not progress. Using the term Black community creates a problem around the behavior, because kids listen to it and they think because they have a certain skin color, they have to now act a certain way. They now have to act like a fucking jackass because they're Black. They now have to be bad students. They now have to go wear their pants half off their ass and wear the cap backwards and look like a thug. Okay, that's what happens when you use the term Black community. It starts to create model around behavior. That's not progress, folks. It's not progress. It's exactly why, I'm going back to the article now. It's exactly why a Black student who speaks well or gets good grades might be told they're not Black enough. Can I get an amen on that one? Can we say it for the people in the back? Can we say it for the people in the back? When you start tossing around the term Black community and you make generalizations of what every single Black person is supposed to do, supposed to look like, and you model it around a certain behavior, okay, not progressing, just talking shit, which a lot of them do, you start making young Black students feel like if their grades are too good, then they're not Black enough. If they read too many books, if they are articulating themselves in a well thought out manner and giving their thoughts in a way that is going to be conducive and productive to themselves and give themselves an opportunity to get a quality education and get themselves a quality job and land a great job with a great career and wife, kids, the whole thing. Okay, all of these things are a problem when you start to, in fact, I wrote directly, I have it right here. Go get a copy of this. Make Your Move, a unique look into boxing, dance, and entrepreneurship. I talked about this very thing because this book was written around the time that it was the summer of social justice. There was George Floyd, there was Black Lives Matter. There was all sorts of things going on where a lot of Black people had a lot of energy. I don't see that same energy in 2025. I don't see it. I don't see that energy, that 2020 energy where there's Black Lives Matter. Everything was this. Where's that energy? Where is it? 5 years later, what happened? What happened? I'm asking, what happened? Let me get a sip of water. I'm getting fired up. Let me get a sip of water. Let me get some water. I'm cool now. I'm cooling now. I'm getting excited. I'm going back to the article, folks. Okay. Using the term Black community too loosely creates trivialism around behavior, not progress. It's why a Black student who speaks well or gets good grades might be told, not might, definitely is told, you're listening to one right now, all right, be told they're not Black enough. We glorify Michael Jordans over tutors, status over self-improvement, and that's how mental slavery spreads in underserved neighborhoods. The comfort zone is where people stop striving and start surviving. Okay? We glorify Jordans over self-tutors. I mean, I did. You can go look it up your damn self. All right? There's an article on this podcast that says a children's tutor over the cost of new Jordans. It is literally the same. In fact, the Jordans are probably a little bit more, but it's really much around the same price of what it would cost to get your child a damn tutor to keep his grades up, to keep his or her reading levels and scores on point. It's the same price you would pay for Jordans. But you struggling, you in the hood, you can't get opportunities. Your people never get this. Your people never get that. Our people never do this. Bullshit. You decide you're going to spend the money on Jordans and not a child tutor for your child. That's the problem. That's the real problem. But no. We don't want to call that out. No, because that's some self-accountability shit that you got to do. All right, let me get to the next one because I'm going to keep talking. I could go on that one for a couple hours. Let's get to number 4. So number four is it becomes entertainment. So all of this that we're talking about, from Black fatigue to the laziness, the excuses, and the comfort zone, all of that becomes entertainment for people. And I hate talking about this because this is where the idea of white privilege starts to come in. This is where the idea of racism starts to come in. This is where the look and the semantics of white privilege and another race being more dominant than other. This is where they thrive. The actual racist white person that we're always talking about, this is where they thrive. Because this entertainment, the entertainment of all the shit we're talking about, that only leads to the white man getting paid. Straight up and down. We gonna keep it all the way funky. We gonna and I hate to use the term white man in this because it's actually the smart people, the people who are smart enough to make money off this. That's what they do. This is what the race hustlers do. This is what the corporations do. If something is getting a lot of likes, if something is getting a lot of views, I don't give a shit how it's making other people look. I don't care how it is painting the picture towards what all people think. If it's getting the views, it's getting the like, it's getting the ad money, man, run that shit. That is what the way they talk in these corporate meetings. If it's getting paid, if I see my numbers rising, if I see my profits moving up, if I see the stuff going off the shelves and all that, numbers is going where they need to go, run that shit. They don't care. They don't care as long as it's making money, man. It's about the money, folks. Be smart. It becomes entertainment regardless of how it makes your people look, our people look, the people that you claim to love so much. It becomes entertainment for them. All right, so I'm going to read directly from the article because actually what kind of got me thinking about this topic is this whole Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese saga. It's been 3 years of this every year. No, it's been 3 or 4. It's either been 3 or 4 years, but it has just been over and over again. And don't nobody know what they're talking because nobody watches the game and nobody watches the WNBA. The league has not turned over a profit in years. They're not watching the game. Very few people actually watched the game. All right, you didn't watch the game. You didn't watch the game when it was LSU and Iowa. Nobody watched the game. You watched the last 5 seconds of it when Angel Reese is taunting her, and that's what blew up. And all of a sudden, you became a basketball expert. You didn't watch the game, guys. Be honest. You didn't watch the game. Telling you, you didn't. All right. So number 4, it becomes entertainment. Let's talk about this Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese saga. People keep saying it's good for the game. No, it is not. It's entertainment for the game. There's a difference between something being good for the game and being entertainment for the game. There's a huge difference, all right? You want good for the game. This is what's good for the game. This is what's good for the game of basketball. It's Jordan versus the bad boy Pistons. You know why that's good for the game? It's because it was about basketball. It was about Jordan being the GOAT and going against these bad boy Pistons and losing to them and then taking them out and what he was doing on the court and just straight beating them on the court. It was basketball, man. Basketball. LeBron, Steph, 4 years in a row. You had the Warriors, you had the Cavs, you had Kyrie, you got Clay, Draymond, Kevin Love, and you got that man, LeBron, who now is taking over as the GOAT, King James, but then you got Steph pulling up from the logo. All of this stuff I'm talking about is basketball. Duke, UNC, got JJ Redick on one side. You got Vince Carter on the other side. Antoine Jameson. You have Grant Hill. You have a Coach K, Dean Smith, Jordan. You know what I'm saying? That's basketball. That's what's good for the game. All right? That's entertainment, and it's about the game of basketball. What we're talking about with Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark is just it's women, a black girl and a white girl who just simply had some situations on the court that have blown up, and social media have taken it and said, oh yeah, what the problem I have with this whole situation is the fact that people have convinced themselves that this is good for. There are people on national TV, national airwaves. Somebody gave these folks a job, folks. Somebody gave them ESPN has given these women a contract, and they have said that this is good for the game because it's rivalry. It's not a rivalry. It's entertainment. It's entertainment, and race hustlers are getting paid. They don't care about the way it makes people look. They don't care about the image. All right, we're talking name, image, and likeness. They don't care about the image that they're putting out there for young black girls. They don't care about the image that they're putting out there for young white. They don't care about the image at all. They care about the entertainment. It's called Entertainment Sports Promotions Network. That's what ESPN stands for. All right. So as long as it's entertainment, they don't care about the way it makes other folks look. All right. They don't care about that kind of stuff. It's about profit, revenue, get paid, and F everything off. That's the mentality. It's direct, it's cutthroat, it's nasty, it's mean, and everybody ain't built for it. You got to have a really, really tough stomach to think about the producers and the folks that let this kind of stuff go out, because it's all about stereotypes. And if they're going to perpetuate a stereotype, if the stereotype is perpetuated, hey, move on, get your money and move on. That's the mentality. All right. So that's number 4. And then, hold up. Yes, I lost track. So yeah, LeBron versus Steph, Duke versus UNC. Those are about basketball. What we're seeing now, most of the talk isn't about playmaking, systems, or court IQ. It's about race. It's about a skeptical. It's about controversy. When you take race and rivalry and slap it on a headline, it sells. Yes. And for some, that's enough. But don't confuse it with progress. This isn't competition. It's content. That's what the Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark situation is. It's simply content. It is not competition. All right. Anybody who watches the game knows that it's not a comparison on the court. All right. There's one player who's far better than the other. Not to say that Angel Reese is a bad player. I would never say anyone from Maryland is a bad basketball player. Anyone that gets to the professional ranks is a bad basketball player. I would never, ever, 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 ever. All right. Especially, I have too much love for my state of Maryland to talk about anybody negatively that is from there. So shout out to Angel Reese. But she ain't no damn Caitlin Clark. Everybody can see that. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. It has nothing to do with the skin color or anything like that. It's just one player is better than the other. Period, point blank. That's what sports is. All right. Now, the reason she's famous is because of the things that she's been doing that have nothing to do with basketball, like the, can't see me, like the fact that she got a common foul and she gets up and she's ready to swing on her. Those are the things people are talking about. They're not talking about the game of basketball, because if they're talking about the game of basketball, then there would be no conversation. It's just like one is better than the other, and that's totally fine. They're two different positions as it is. So that's all. That's what I have to say about that. And I can go on a rant on that one, but I'll get to reason number 5 here. So reason number 5 is it creates a bond with children that they don't need. This one cuts deep, because once you become a parent, a leader of young people, you start to realize that the world doesn't care about your comfort. It cares about your contribution. And if you're raising a child today, hear me clearly. Your child is not your friend. The moment you start relating to them like they're your peer instead of your pupil, you start reinforcing the patterns that keep Black families in cycles of trauma. Black fatigue becomes a coping mechanism passed down like a family recipe. And before you know it, you've got an entire generation of kids who see victimhood as identity and apathy as culture. Final thoughts. Teach them. All right. Stop relating. Start teaching. Stop coddling. Start challenging. We're losing too many kids and too many futures to a mindset built on fatigue instead of fortitude. Black fatigue isn't something that we just talk about. It's something it's something we undo with clarity, with discipline, with leadership. That's what needs to happen. All right. That's the only. Now, again, like I said, I stand on what I said at the beginning. It's not going anywhere, but there are things that you can do to make yourself aware that it exists, and don't allow it in your family. Don't allow that energy in your family. All right. You have got to cut it from its root. All right. I'll close you guys out with the story of back when I was in elementary school, and I just got to the age where I'm starting to have girlfriends, or you're starting to attract other people into your world, or attract a certain significant other. I'm getting to that age, and because I had the mother I had, she would point these things out very clearly. And she's, again, raised by 2 Black parents. I was raised in a Caribbean household with 2 Black parents who were been married for 40 years at this point. And what she would do to break the pattern is she would point out certain things. She would point out aspects. So there was the situation. Let me get to the story and then get to the questions real quick. So there was a situation where there was a group of girls that came to the house. I lived like walking distance. I was a walker in elementary school. So they came to the house and they knocked on the door, and my mother, I wasn't sure, it was very disciplined. So they wanted me to come outside and play, yada, yada, yada. And obviously I had to be in a situation where I had to ask my mother if I was going to go outside and play. So I went and asked my mother if I can go outside and play. And I didn't do the dishes, or something wasn't done in the house. So she was like, once something is done, then yeah, yada, yada, yada. But they were there now. So I went back to the door and I said, I could come later. But, my mother, yada, yada. Before I could even say my mother told me to go do the dishes, or my mother told me to do this, the minute I said my mother, it was a bunch of girls, and they just start yelling and screaming, "Ah, it's mom, it's mom." So my mother sees them running from the front of the house to the back of the house, and she points it out, because we're seeing it together. My mother points it out. She goes, "Those are the kind of people you want to be hanging out with." Look at them. Those are the kind of people you want to be hanging out with. That shit has stuck with me for years, and it because you get burnt. When you get burnt by being around the wrong mofos, that kind of stuff sticks with you. And at that point, she's not being, she wasn't a friend, but she was teaching in that moment. All right. So I'm at the 44-minute mark. Let me get through some questions here real quick for you business owners that may be struggling with turnover. All right. So before I do that, though, let me just go recap. Top 5 reasons Black fatigue is here and it's not going anywhere. First and foremost, it's the invention of an excuse, caters to laziness, creates a comfort zone. That is the death of your business. That could be the death of all the things you love. It becomes entertainment, and it creates a bond with children that they don't need. That's what is the problem. So let's get to the questions really, really quick, because I'm already seeing I'm running up on the 45 minutes here. But we got to get to the questions for you business owners. All right, I'll answer them really, really quick. First and foremost, how might systematic issues contributing to Black fatigue be affecting my Black employees' engagement and leading to increased turnover? Well, again, drop the Black and just focus on fatigue. Systematic issues that are contributing to fatigue. So systematic issues would be a person who was raised in a household unlike mine, where my mother made me do chores before I went outside and play. If you are hiring someone that didn't grow up around that environment in which stuff had to be done before they went outside and play, when it comes to them being hired at a job, all right, they're not going to do certain things because it's going to be fatigue. So it's going to affect the employee engagement, because the minute you start asking them to do stuff they don't feel like doing, they're going to put up this fight as if they're not supposed to, as they're too qualified because they got this degree and that degree and all that kind of stuff. So again, just drop the Black and just focus on systematic issues that lead to fatigue. All right. Next question. Let me put it up on the screen real quick. Okay. Are our current diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives effectively addressing the root cause of Black fatigue, or are they? It depends. It really does. It depends. I interviewed one of the people who's like a DEI person for the Miami Heat, and she went to my high school. She went to Good Counsel as well, and was one of the few Black kids in that school. And I had my own narratives and my own thoughts about DEI until I met her, and I realized, hey, there are people who are in these positions who have a very diverse background. They may be Black, but it's not fair to just say, oh, DEI is just trash, because there's certain people who have, like myself, again, if I could consider myself a person that would be very, very qualified to manage a DEI system within a company because of my diverse background and all the places I've been. So all of that really depends on the person's intention on what they want to get out of their business. That's really my take. And that changed actually this past since last summer, since I met her and I had her on the show. That has changed. I used to trash DEI quite a bit until I met her. So, shout out to Claire. What mechanisms are in place for Black employees to voice concerns about workplace culture and how we ensure their feedback? There shouldn't be any mechanisms, none. All right. It should be just employees in general. If we as Black people want to get taken seriously in the workplace and actually get to the places where we need to be, we shouldn't want no damn excuses. We shouldn't want a mechanism just for us, because it creates the excuse. We want to avoid excuses, and we want to get places with our own merit and start recycling the dollar, quote unquote, recycling the Black dollar. So now we have our own stuff. We have built up our own businesses. We have our own systems in place. And then we get respect from the folks who have generations of wealth there. And that's where we can collaborate. We don't want no excuses. Fuck the excuses about mechanisms. No, that's a bad idea. All right, let's get to. We got 2 more I got to get to real quick. I already see I'm over time here, but we're gonna do what we have to do. How can leadership be trained to recognize signs of Black fatigue and respond with empathy and no empathy? If it's fatigue and you're talking about some bullshit and you're not getting stuff done, hold their ass accountable the same way. The same way our football coaches didn't care what color you were. If you're not sprinting, if you're not getting your times, your ass is on the bench. Straight up. I don't care what color you are. And that is the problem. There's too much weak leadership out there that doesn't hold people accountable towards results. All right. They on some other, they're going off other metrics, which is the problem. All right. And number 5, let me just put it up on the screen quick. In what ways can we foster an inclusive workplace environment that not only acknowledges but actively combats the effects? Hold everyone accountable. Measurables. I will say it over and over and over. I'll put it right here on the screen. Measurables. What are measurables that folks are going to be hitting every day? Do they know them? Are they going to go after them? And are they in a place where they know exactly what's expected of them on a daily basis? Again, we dive deeper into all that. Make sure you go to freeguide.makeitmove.com. Get yourself a free guide. Contact me about coming and speaking to your staff and speaking to your group of employees so you can avoid this issue that we've been talking about all day today. Tomorrow, I will definitely listen. We have an example tomorrow. I strategically kept certain stories from today's recording because tomorrow on Wintrepreneur Wednesday, we have a whole thing set up to where we're going to break this down even further. So all that being said, again, main website to check out to dive deeper into all the work I'm doing. It's makeyourmove.com. That's makeymove.com. One-stop shop for all your teamwork and your self-development needs. As one, Crookshank, your one and only Move Swiftly speaker. Check it out. You guys continue to move swiftly. We will talk more soon.